I don't think mobile was ever a thing. Like, mobile's like, hey, here's this computer in your pocket where you can look at experiences smaller. Woo! And that, like then people said, oh, we'll make it better for you to look at smaller. Great, that's awesome, So what is unique about the phone, right? In the end, what changed? Well, what changed wasn't that you could consume data, whatever. It was, first of all, that you had an incredibly high-def camera with you everywhere you went. And that changed the experience. And suddenly there were a bunch of these photo and video sharing things that became, that changed the way you interacted. And so, my children who live on Snapchat have their way of engaging with the world.
I just put on a conference last week in Washington about 5G networks. So, what comes after 4G? Oh, it's 5G. And they're 10 gigabits a second, which is like 10 Google Fibers. You have that on a mobile device. It's an amazing set of technologies. Not ready yet, by the way, David, if you're investing. But it's only going to work if the government can figure out how to get the spectrum freed up and how to get the pole attachment rules so that we can get small cells and all the other things that we need. It's a messy relationship.
Dwight, are we at the right point for the 5G wave? When's it going to arrive?
It's coming, and as I talked to some of my colleagues, because I came from a software company first, and said, does it matter who's first? Korea, US, this carrier, that carrier, this vendor, that vendor, and it doesn't, and nobody really remembers. What they remember is it did happen. 4G came, and we ate it up really quickly, and Egal can talk a little bit after me about it, and 5G will come too, and I think it's going to come a lot quicker than people thought it did because of what you were talking about earlier. I mean, people really want faster speeds. The regulation is going to happen, so I mean, it's around the corner, much sooner than we thought.
David, how important is 5G, do you think?
Well, every new protocol drives unbelievable innovation and drives unbelievable value, right? And so, so there are a bunch of, as I said, each time you have this innovation, you have more opportunity, and it creates a whole new range of experiences. So suddenly we have more data, we have more bit rate, we have more whatever. It will drive the capacity to do new and interesting things. Hard to predict what those things are. So when you say, oh, it's coming, bet on it. Great, I'm all set. So tell me what that it is. Like, I'd love to know, but there isn't any question. We were the first investors in a company called Atheros, and two amazing professors come in and say, hey, we think that RF technology is at a point at which data can move through the air. And it's okay, well, what makes you think that? And there was a bunch of conversation about, oh, this protocol and that protocol and blah, blah, blah. And so therefore we think there you can get a sufficient bit rate at a sufficient distance that you could move data through the air. And we said, okay, great. And then you say, well, what's the use case? And the answer is, you do your email on the toilet. Oh, done. Like, I get that. Who doesn't want that? Everybody wants that, and therefore there's a business. So then we fund the company. Great. There's a business opportunity, and the Atheros chip, and then they helped create the Wi-Fi protocol, and it became and it powers, many of the devices we all have. And so I'm looking. I am desperate for the Atheros equivalent for wireless power.
Is it a regulatory issue?
I think maybe there's a place to look that is not the normal Silicon Valley place to look. We see a lot of interest in 18th century businesses, shipping, mining, construction. They are a lot more thinking about 5G than they probably were about 4G.